won't eat it. He hates everything. He likes it. Hey, Mikey!
Growing up in the 1970s was kind of like living in a warm, weird, wonderful time capsule. It was a world of avocado green appliances, shag carpeting that could hide a small pet, and endless hours spent just waiting. Waiting for the TV to warm up, the phone to be free, or the Sears Catalog to arrive. Let's take a stroll down memory lane and revisit 20 things from the 1970s you totally forgot you grew up with, until now. The smell of mimeograph paper. You knew a good school day was coming the second your teacher walked in holding a stack of fresh mimeographed worksheets. That faint purplish ink, a little blurry and smudged, meant spelling tests, class announcements, or those fill-in-the-blank history lessons were about to begin. But let's be honest, nobody remembers the content. What we do remember is the smell. That cool, slightly sweet, slightly chemical scent was irresistible. Every kid gave their paper a good sniff like it was the most natural thing in the world. It was a classroom ritual, totally unspoken, totally universal. Were we technically inhaling solvents? Probably. Did we care? Not even a little. That smell became the unofficial perfume of 1970s education. Car windows. You had to crank, and the arm workout that came with them. Long before electric buttons came along to spoil us, rolling down a car window was a manual job, literally. You grabbed the little handle and turned it round and round like you were grinding pepper. And if the car was old, which many were, that window didn't glide down so much as grunt its way toward freedom, inch by inch. Trying to talk to someone at the drive-thru? That window had better be pre-cranked. Sudden downpour, panic crank. And if you were a kid in the back seat, you had to rely on charm, bribery, or whining to get a grown-up to help you out. It was part arm workout, part patience test, and a full-on rite of passage. School desks bolted to the floor, because heaven forbid you moved. Ah yes, the immovable desks of childhood, bolted right into the floor like the Titanic was about to hit an iceberg. The desk and chair were one fused, creaky unit, usually with a metal frame and a wooden surface covered in graffiti from past generations. Someone always carved their initials into it, or wrote something deeply profound, like, "Kiss rules." Your seat was assigned on day one, and that was it. You weren't scooting over to sit by your best friend, and you definitely weren't forming learning pods or group circles. Nope. You sat there, feet swinging because they never quite reached the floor, trying not to drop your pencil into the black hole of the desk opening where forgotten erasers and mystery crumbs lived forever. TV antennas, aka rabbit ears. Watching TV in the 70s wasn't as simple as hitting a remote and choosing from hundreds of channels. First, you had to earn that picture by adjusting the rabbit ears, those metal antenna rods perched on top of your TV like some futuristic insect. If the picture was fuzzy or snowy, you had to stand there, slowly twisting and tilting them like you were cracking a safe. Sometimes the best signal came only when someone stood next to the TV with one hand in the air and one foot off the floor. And let's not forget the magical power of aluminum foil. Wrapped just right, it could transform a blurry image of the Love Boat into actual human shapes. Once the picture was clear, you didn't dare move. That was it. You won the game. Tupperware. Tupperware wasn't just a product. It was a lifestyle. There was an entire culture around it. Your mom went to parties, she collected the catalog like it was the Neiman Marcus of food storage, and she knew how to burp the lid with expert precision. The colors were peak 70s, mustard yellow, burnt orange, and that pale seafoam green. There was always one cabinet stuffed full of mismatched lids and containers, and opening it without triggering a plastic avalanche was basically a mini-game. Bonus memory. If your lunch was packed in one of those little round Tupperware tubs, you felt fancy. The Slinky, gravity's greatest party trick. The Slinky might have been the simplest toy ever made, a metal coil that somehow brought so much joy. There was nothing more satisfying than watching it walk down the stairs, each step a perfect bounce of physics and fun, and when you got it to go all the way from top to bottom without falling over, that was elite-level achievement. Of course, Slinkies had a dark side. Get it tangled even once, and you were done. It became a warped mess that no amount of twisting could fix. And the plastic versions? Forget it. They were colorful, sure, but they didn't have the weight or grace of the classic metal one. Still, every kid had one, and it held a strangely hypnotic power over us all. Sears Catalogs. Forget online shopping carts. Back in the 70s, dreams were made in the Sears Catalog. This thick, glossy book landed in your mailbox like a seasonal miracle. Page after page of clothes, tools, gadgets, and best of all, the toy section. You'd spend hours flipping through, circling your wish list in pen or marker like you were doing serious retail research. The Christmas edition? That was sacred. The ultimate pre-holiday ritual involved flipping through every page with your siblings, arguing over who saw that Evel Knievel stunt bike first. The catalog had a distinct smell, too, something between fresh ink and new clothes. Just opening it felt like opportunity. Woolworths Lunch counters. Before fast food chains took over every corner, Woolworths lunch counters were the place to grab a bite, catch up with a friend, or rest your feet during a day of shopping downtown. You'd step off the squeaky linoleum into the store, and there it was, a shiny chrome counter with those familiar red vinyl stools, always slightly too high for little legs to climb up easily. The menu was comfort food at its best. Grilled cheese, BLTs, tuna melts, thick milkshakes served in frosty steel cups, and of course, bottomless cups of coffee for the grown-ups. The food wasn't fancy, but it didn't need to be. It felt like a treat. It was where your grandma took you for lunch after church, or where you and your mom grabbed a bite mid-errand. It was warm, welcoming, and full of small-town heart, no matter what city you were in. Cigarette machines, when buying smokes was as easy as a Snickers. In the 70s, cigarette machines were as common as vending machines are today, and equally easy to use. Walk into any diner, gas station, bowling alley, or airport, and there it was. A heavy, humming metal box with knobs you pulled to release a pack. No ID check, no clerk, no fuss. These machines were oddly fascinating, even if you didn't smoke. The big, shiny levers made a satisfying clunk, and the packs of Marlboro Reds, Winston Lights, and Virginia Slims stood at attention behind little glass windows like tiny soldiers. You probably remember being a kid, tasked with fishing out a pack for a parent, feeling oddly grown up for a second. In hindsight, it's wild, but back then, totally normal. Fruit stripe gum, flavor that faded faster than a disco hit. If chewing gum had a personality in the 70s, Fruit Stripe was the hyperactive friend who showed up loud, colorful, and full of energy, but left the party early. That zebra mascot, Yipes, was plastered across every pack, promising 5 fruity flavors and a wild ride. And for the first few seconds, it delivered. The flavor burst hit like a cannonball, cherry, lemon, lime, orange, and watermelon all vying for dominance in your mouth. But then, just like that, it was gone. What remained was a bland, rubbery chew and some disappointing stickiness on your fingers. Still, the thrill of unwrapping a piece and pressing those temporary tattoos onto your skin with spit and optimism kept us coming back for more. So there you have it. 10 things from the 70s that made growing up back then an unforgettable experience. It was loud, it was colorful, it was occasionally dangerous, but it was ours. If this trip down memory lane made you smile, or reminded you of something you hadn't thought about in decades, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more blasts from the past coming your way. And hey, if you remember using any of these things, drop a comment below and tell us your favorite memory. We'd love to hear it.